Eric Bennett brought home his hidden mistress on our third wedding anniversary. His entire family joined forces to pressure me into divorce. Not long after, I went to his newly joined company where he publicly mocked me. Yet the CEO's special assistant stepped forward and bowed to me before everyone. Little Edwards, long time no see. Eric regretted his past actions deeply. Little Edwards, what does this mean? I looked at the divorce agreement thrown in front of me and asked. What else could it mean? The woman leaning against Eric's arm, with her coral pink lipstick, smiled coquettishly. Olivia Edwards, let's get a divorce. I clenched my hands beneath the table, watching them embrace as if unwilling to part. You're divorcing me for her. I glanced at the woman wearing a low-cut V-neck mini dress in the dead of winter. She's the niece of Mr. Chen from Wei Sheng Group. I got the offer from Wei Sheng entirely because of him, Eric said, turning his head to flash an ingratiating smile at the woman. Olivia, what I need is someone who can help me climb higher, and that's not you. Don't cling to me and make me look down on you, Edward said as I lowered my head and let out a derisive laugh. Mr. Chen, I wasn't aware that Weiss ever had a Mr. Chen in its leadership. What could a little white-collar worker like you possibly know? Eric snorted the woman beside him, raising her chin haughtily. Fine, I agree to the divorce. I reached for the divorce papers and stood up. I was the one who bought this house in the first place. Please move out within a month. Eric didn't expect me to say this. He turned to glance at the woman beside him and snapped in anger. Olivia, stop talking nonsense. The house is under my name. It is indeed under your name. I nodded, neither confirming nor denying. It was you who shamelessly insisted on transferring the property title to your name. I still have all the documents and tax receipts from the transfer. I can retrieve the original records from the property center anytime, and I wouldn't mind giving you a lesson on real estate law. Olivia, you. Eric suddenly jumped up from the couch, pointing his finger at my nose. What? This house isn't even yours. The woman widened her eyes in shock and stood up as well. Eric, how dare you lie to me? No, Shanshan, let me explain. Eric hadn't even finished speaking when a figure rushed out from the room. Before I could see clearly, a stinging pain flared across my face. Olivia, you vicious woman, how dare you trick my son? I raised my hand to rub my face. Standing before me was Eric's mother, Ren Xiaoping. Mom, this is the last respect I'll show you. What do you mean by tricking your son? Back then, he was the one who pursued me for 4 years and proposed 3 times before I agreed to marry him. After marriage, the house and car we used were all bought by me before the wedding. How does changing the name now make them yours? How are they not ours? Once my son's name is on them, they're ours. A woman should follow her husband after marriage. What's yours is my son's. Ha ha ha. I suddenly laughed at the sight of her contorted face, marveling at how it took me until today to see the true colors of this mother and son pair. You just reminded me. I still have all those IOUs you signed over the years from losing at Mahjong, and every receipt from when I paid off your debts. I kept them all carefully. One of these days, I'll tally them up properly to see exactly how much your family owes me, so your son can pay me back in full. You vile woman. As she raised her hand again, I grabbed her frail wrist and shoved it away violently. I advise you to know when to stop. I'm not a patient person. I turned my head and glanced at Eric again, smiling faintly. Eric, I hope you won't regret today's decision in the future. With that, I ignored Ren Xiaoping's shouting and walked straight out, slamming the door behind me. I walked out of the residential area and without hesitation, took out my phone and dialed the number. The call was quickly answered on the other end. Come pick me up. West Gate of Tianxing Houting. 10 minutes later, a black Hongqi LS7 pulled up in front of me. A man dressed in a black suit stepped out from the driver's seat and bowed slightly toward me. Young miss, we've kept you waiting. I nodded. Open the door. The man bent down in response and opened the rear door. Just as I was about to get in, I noticed another man already seated in the back, dressed in a custom-made navy blue suit. His wristwatch-adorned hand rested lightly on the seat as he raised an eyebrow and glanced at me. Feeling somewhat awkward, I stepped inside. Uncle, I said. The man grunted from his throat and said, still remember to come back. I got divorced." As I spoke, I pulled out the divorce agreement from my hand and placed it on the table. "What a pair of blind eyes you have, daring to divorce my granddaughter." At the dining table, Grandpa sat at the head, banging his cane loudly. I glanced at Edward Singji sitting across from me. He seemed completely unfazed by Edwards as he picked up a piece of blanched Chinese cabbage with his chopsticks and said leisurely, "Weren't you the one who most opposed her marrying Eric? Shouldn't you be happy now that they're divorced?" Grandpa glared at his youngest son and said angrily, "That's different. My granddaughter hadn't even complained about him yet, and he dared to find a mistress outside. He must have the courage of a bear and the heart of a leopard." I smiled awkwardly and handed the peeled shrimp in my hand to Grandpa's mouth. "It's all right, it's good to see this family's true colors early. The only thing is, my apartment and car are still under Eric's name. I need to get them back." Millimeter. Grandpa ate some shrimp, his expression softening slightly. "You decide for yourself. The company's legal team is at your disposal." As he spoke, he gently touched my face again. "Starting tomorrow, you'll return to Weisheng. Have your uncle send someone to retrieve your belongings first. Recently, have Aunt Lin cook more of your favorite dishes to nourish you. Look how thin you've gotten." I smiled and nodded in agreement. All right. The next day, when I unlocked the door with the key, Eric was embracing his new love. The picture of a harmonious family with motherly kindness and filial devotion. The first room on the left upstairs. "All the ladies' items inside are mine." "Olivia, what are you doing?" Eric dashed over in one swift movement, watching the crowd behind me surge upstairs. "What am I doing?" I glanced at him as if looking at a loathsome stranger. "Of course, to take my things away, so they don't get lost over time without me even knowing." I walked into the house by myself and sat down on the sofa. "Olivia, don't you dare slander me. Who took your things?" Ren Qiuping rushed over, howling. "I only said something was missing, not that you took it. Why are you getting so worked up?" I took out my phone from my coat pocket and opened the message from the HR department. "Little Edwards, there's no one with the surname Chen at the director level or above in the company." After reading the text, I raised an eyebrow and glanced up at Lin Shanshan, who was still clinging to Eric like a little bird. I suddenly became a bit curious. "May I ask which department at Visionary this young lady's elder works in as an executive?" "My uncle is none other than the deputy director of the planning department at Visionary." Lin Shanshan cast a haughty glance at me, her eyes filled with disdain. I let out an exaggerated "oh" as if suddenly enlightened, lowered my head to reply a message to the HR department. "Miss, all the clothes have been sorted. Would you like to take a look?" I put away my phone, noticing 3 boxes already piled up at the door. I shook my head. "The clothes don't matter, it's the jewelry in the room." "Has it been counted carefully?" "Taking inventory now, and we've found 1 bracelet missing." "A bracelet?" I turned my head to look at the picture he handed me. It was the coming-of-age gift my grandfather gave me for my 18th birthday, a custom-made diamond bracelet, priceless and irreplaceable. I turned to look at Eric, just about to ask when I noticed Lin Shanshan subtly hiding her right hand behind her back. I forced a sarcastic smile, stood up, and walked over. "Lin Shanshan, while I'm still being polite, hand back what you took." Everyone in the room turned to look at her, and her heavily made-up face instantly flushed crimson. "What are you talking about? I don't understand." "Don't understand? Here, grab her hand for me." I couldn't be bothered with words, so I waved my hand, and the 2 people behind me stepped forward to grab her shoulders. "What are you doing? Let me go." Lin Shanshan struggled, her chest heaving dramatically with the movement. "Olivia, what are you doing? This is my house. If you keep this up, I'll call the police." Eric dashed over in a flash, shielding Lin Shanshan behind him. "Ha ha ha," I doubled over laughing, covering my mouth. "Eric, do you even realize whose house this is? To so shamelessly occupy someone else's nest and still have the audacity to speak like this. You truly are your mother's son, and since you mentioned calling the police, that works out perfectly. We can send this thieving rat along with you." Saving the officers an extra trip, Lin Shanshan, hiding behind Eric, grew increasingly pale but remained silent, shrinking back. "Lin Shanshan, I advise you to confess now. That bracelet was a gift from my grandfather." It has my initials and birthday engraved on the inner band and was a custom piece from that year. Even if you tried to sell it, no one would dare take it." As I spoke, I glanced again at her wrist, which she kept hidden behind her back. Eric noticed my gaze and turned to ask, "Shanshan, what's going on? Did you take her things?" Before the words had even finished, Lin Shanshan burst into tears. "I just thought this bracelet was really pretty, so I borrowed it to wear for a while," I sneered coldly, watching her put on an elaborate performance. "Taking without asking is stealing. You claim you borrowed it. Who gave you permission?" Eric also looked displeased and hurriedly tried to remove the bracelet from her wrist. "How could you take her things? If you wanted it, I would have bought it for you." "Buy," I sneered, taking the bracelet handed to me by Eric. "You probably couldn't afford this even if you saved every penny for a lifetime." With that, I placed the bracelet back in its box, stood up, and said, "Eric, don't forget, you have 1 month to move out of my house, otherwise, don't blame me for what happens next." I walked away with an air of nonchalance, completely unaware of the chaos that would soon erupt in that house. "Eric, you actually just gave that bracelet back to her like that?" Lin Shanshan wiped her tears pitifully while crying out, "What else could I do? Let her actually call the police." Eric glanced at Lin Shanshan's exposed chest, feeling somewhat irritated about the house matter. "What kind of attitude is this? Don't forget you got into Waisha because of me." Eric paused for a moment, suppressing his temper, and pulled Lin Shanshan into an embrace. "Alright, don't be angry, it's just a bracelet. I'll get you another one. We don't need her things." Hearing this, Lin Shanshan gradually softened and, with a twist of her body, returned to her room. "Son, I just heard Olivia being called young miss by someone next to her. Could she really be from a wealthy family?" Ren Choping shuffled over to the frowning Eric with a wiggle of her hips. "Oh, Mom, don't make things more complicated." Eric frowned impatiently. "She's from a wealthy family. How could she have been married for so long without telling us?" "Don't overthink it," Ren Choping responded awkwardly, though she didn't agree inwardly. Back then, Olivia was just an orphaned office worker. How could she afford such a big house? It never sat right with her. But now that her son has latched onto Weiss, what can Olivia do? No matter how capable she is, once her son climbs the ladder at Weiss, she'll be able to enjoy the good life too. "Did you get everything back?" Edward Singji sat on the sofa in the hall, watching the workers carry boxes upstairs one by one. I nodded and walked over to sit down. "I've brought back most of the important stuff. The other small things don't really matter." The TV was broadcasting financial news Edwards, stating that Vision Media, a subsidiary under the Weiss Group, has completed its Series D funding round, marking the Weiss Group's official entry into diversified industries. "When are you planning to return to Weiss to work?" Uncle casually turned off the TV, cutting off the host's flattery. I lowered my head, my fingers picking at my pants. "Probably in the next couple of days. Your grandfather wants you back at Weiss tomorrow. Ruei just completed its financing, and the parent company is swamped too. There are hordes of reporters camped at the door every day. Your return could help ease the pressure on the executive office." I pursed my lips and didn't respond. Uncle looked at me and slowly sighed. "Olivia, you don't have to feel so conflicted. Your capabilities are well known to both your grandfather and me. I have no children of my own, and you're the only descendant in the Edwards family's younger generation. If it weren't for this, your grandfather wouldn't have agreed to let you marry that Eric just to make you happy. Ever since I was little, whenever my father wanted to hit me, it was always Uncle and Grandpa who protected me. Later, when my parents died unexpectedly, Uncle took care of both me and Grandpa while attending university. For so many years, the three of us have relied on each other to get through life." I lowered my head, sniffled, and replied, "I understand. I'll go back to work tomorrow." "Good." My uncle stood up, patted me on the head, then turned and went upstairs. I turned my head to watch him return to his room, then took out my phone and made a call. "Help me check all employees with the surname Chen in the planning department, and get back to me by tonight." I hitched a ride this morning and had just arrived at the company entrance when I quickly opened the car door and jumped out. "Uncle, I won't go underground with you. I have other things to do." With that, I hurried into the company building in a few quick steps. It was peak commuting hours, and employees were bustling through the lobby. I remember HR was supposed to arrange someone to pick me up. I casually walked to the front desk and was about to speak when I heard Eric's voice behind me. "Olivia, what are you doing here?" I turned to look at him. Dressed quite dapper indeed, that suit must have cost him a pretty penny. Before I could respond, he started laughing to himself. "Oh. You wouldn't be here because you knew I was here and came chasing after me to beg for reconciliation, would you?" The receptionist at the front desk was momentarily distracted by his sudden remark and turned to ask me, "Hello, who are you here to see?" As soon as the words were spoken, Eric chimed in from the side. "The HR department is on the 3rd floor. If you're here for an interview, I don't mind introducing you." "No need." I curled my lips into a smile. "I'm just waiting for someone here." Just then, Uncle's assistant Chin Chuan hurried over from the executive elevator. "Sorry, little Edwards, for keeping you waiting." Finally seeing a pleasant face in the morning, I smiled slightly and said, "Oh, Chin Chuan, long time no see." Chin Chuan adjusted the gold-rimmed glasses on the bridge of his nose, his face as expressionless as my uncle's, and bowed slightly to me as he spoke. "Little Edwards, long time no see." Eric's face instantly turned a myriad of colors, and he turned to stare at me with wide eyes, muttering under his breath, Little Edwards." Chin Chuan led me toward the executive elevator. I turned my head to glance at Eric, who was standing there dumbfounded. I said to Chin Chuan in a voice neither too loud nor too soft, "Assistant Chin, shouldn't the HR department be reorganized? How can they recruit just any Tom, Dick, or Harry? Is Weisha a poverty alleviation enterprise?" Chin Chuan followed my gaze, glanced back, and nodded, "Understood. I'll notify HR to hold a meeting shortly." Entering the elevator, Chin Chuan stood in front of me and calmly pressed the button for the 49th floor. I smoothed back the stray hairs at my temples and said, "Isn't the company annual party tomorrow night?" Chin Chuan half turned to look at me. "Yes, little Edwards. Notify all employees that they may bring one family member to attend, especially that Director Chen from the planning department." I smiled, suddenly recalling Eric's face from earlier. "Since you, Eric, think you've climbed the rope that will elevate you to success, I'll personally cut that rope for you. Are you going to the annual party too?" At the dinner table in the evening, Grandpa looked astonished. "Yes," I nodded, busily shoveling food into my mouth. "Didn't you always hate these kinds of occasions before? Why are you so enthusiastic this time? I saw Sister Lin just dug out that diamond necklace your mom left for you. Are you going on a blind date?" I glanced at Grandpa's gossipy expression and said, "What blind date? I'm going to teach a scumbag a lesson." "Teach? Teach what?" Grandpa looked puzzled and glanced at my uncle, who was eating elegantly. "Eric has joined Vistian." Uncle calmly tossed a grenade toward Grandpa. "Eric? That bastard doesn't deserve a salary from Vistian. Who hired him? Who was it?" I put down my chopsticks and wiped my mouth with a napkin. "Grandpa, don't worry about this. I'll avenge myself for my own grievances." Good. Grandpa laughed heartily, tapping his cane. "An eye for an eye. That's my Edwards family's child through and through." As I entered the venue arm in arm with my uncle, all eyes instantly turned toward me. Picking up a champagne flute from a waiter's tray, Chin Chuan leaned in and whispered in my ear, "Young Edwards. At 3 o'clock ahead are Chen Wenquan from the planning department and his wife Xu Lian." I brought the wine glass to my lips, stealing a glance under the cover. "Has Eric arrived?" I raised an eyebrow and asked. "All members of the planning department are present." Before I could answer, my uncle lowered his head to warn me. "After all, this is the annual meeting, don't make too much of a scene." I agreed verbally, but in my heart, I thought, how can we vent our anger without making a big scene? Before I could make a move, I saw from afar Eric heading straight for Chen Wenquan. "Mr. Chen, hello, Mr. Chen." Chen Wenquan was startled by the young man who suddenly blocked his path and instinctively shook his hand. "Who are you?" "President Chen. I'm Eric. Thanks to your grace, I was able to join a major corporation like Weiss." Chen Wenquan's puzzled face instantly paled by 2 shades. I swirled the wine glass in my hand and walked toward the two who were exchanging pleasantries. "So, this is the President Chen who recommended you." Eric paused for a moment as he took in my strapless, floor-length mermaid gown. Oh, little Edwards, Chen Wenquan quickly plastered on a smile. What, you know him? We used to know each other. I sighed with feigned sorrow. Unfortunately, he fell in love with your niece and demanded a divorce, forcing me to leave with nothing. The surroundings instantly erupted as if a landmine had been dropped. So the man cheated. My God, they actually rejected young Edwards. This is truly penny-wise and pound-foolish. Eric's face turned alternately red and green, his eyes glaring at me fiercely. Olivia, what exactly are you trying to do? I smiled faintly, lifting my skirt as I leaned close to his ear. Eric, I told you, I hope you'll never regret divorcing me. Olivia, always repay grievances. After speaking, I raised my wine glass again and smiled faintly at the lady beside Chen Wenquan. I've also met your niece, Mrs. Chen. She truly has the delicate beauty of willow branches and a countenance that could topple cities. My niece, Shu Lian's face stiffened. I don't have a niece. No, I asked in astonishment, but Lin Shanshan kept calling you Uncle Chen. If she's not your niece, then who is she? As soon as the words left my mouth, Mrs. Chen raised her arm and slapped Chen Wenquan across the face with a sharp crack. It's Lin Shualan again, isn't it? That wretched woman. You're still in contact with her. Chen Wenquan's wine glass slipped from his hand in shock, shattering into pieces on the floor. What nonsense are you talking about? In front of everyone, Chen Wenquan covered his face, trying to pull her outside. Let go of me. I'm going to say it right here. Shu Lian shook off Chen Wenquan's grip and splashed the half-glass of wine she was holding directly onto his face. She keeps calling you uncle, and you still claim you haven't been in contact with her. And him, Shu Lian turned and pointed at Eric, that Lin Shualan's niece is his mistress, so you pulled strings to get him in, right? Have you forgotten whose favor you owe for getting into Weisha? Me, my dad. You ungrateful old bastard. Shu Lian grew more agitated as she spoke, taking off her high heels and swinging them at Chen Wenquan's head. I was thoroughly enjoying the spectacle when my uncle came up behind me and pulled me away. Step back, unless you want blood splattered all over you. I laughed so hard my shoulders shook as I took the shawl Qin Chuan handed me. Let's go, I want to head back. Sitting in the car, I quietly watched Qin Chuan start the engine before suddenly speaking up. Chen Wenquan abused his position to bypass HR and give someone special treatment. Eric was hired into Weiss through irregular channels. Both of them will collect their pay from accounting tomorrow and leave. Yes, little Edwards. The next morning, as expected, I saw Eric's figure on the first floor of the company. What I didn't expect, however, was to see Ren Qiuping as well. I smiled knowingly. It seemed this mother-son duo had come looking for trouble. I took out my phone and silently sent a text message, before I could even put the phone back in my pocket. Ren Qiuping had already rushed over in 2 steps and thrown herself in front of me. I spoke up loudly before she could say anything. Oh my, coming so early, are you here to return the money? The gazes of those around instantly focused on the two of them. Someone recognized Eric as the star of yesterday's annual meeting and began whispering among the crowd, "That's him. He's the ex-husband of young Edwards, the cheater, oh. The one who got hired through connections by General Manager Chen from the planning department." Yes, it was total chaos at the annual meeting yesterday. I heard General Manager Chen got fired today too. What nonsense are you all talking about? Ren Qiuping's hair stood on end as she rushed into the crowd, shouting at those gossiping employees. Auntie, if you have any issues, take them up with me. If you continue to make a scene like this, I have the right to call security to escort you out. In one swift motion, I stepped in front of her and raised my hand to signal the nearby security guard. Ren Qiuping, seeing this, immediately dropped to her knees at my feet and began wailing without even a moment's hesitation. Olivia, our family's circumstances may indeed have been beneath you, and we may have overreached by marrying into yours, but you can't just accuse Eric of cheating to get rid of us. What a terrible accusation to make. Eric has treated you so well since you got married. You know that better than anyone. I stood there, arms crossed, grinning, crystal clear, absolutely crystal clear, living in my house, driving my car. divorced me, and still trying to keep my house to live with your mistress. As soon as I finished speaking, the faces of the mother and son turned green amidst the gasps of the crowd. Oh my God, how shameless can you get? Well, this is something you don't see every day. I signaled the security guard to pull Ren Choping up from the ground, then leaned slightly toward her and said, "You said I wanted to kick you out, and I did. I've been the daughter of the Edwards family for over 20 years. If I had looked down on your son, I wouldn't have married into your family in the first place. You coming to the company now to say all this is just because you resent me for not using Weisha's resources to help your son climb the ladder. But didn't your son marry me in the beginning precisely because I had no parents, no roots, and was easy to control?" Ren Choping, what are you trying to prove with this act? Did you get an Oscar nomination this year? Olivia, don't go too far, my mom is still your elder. Eric rushed up from behind in 2 steps, pushed the security guard aside, and steadied Ren Choping. The mother and son looked so pitiful, as if oppressed by evil forces, which piqued my interest. Yes, an elder. One who lost 30,000 in mahjong in a single night. An elder who needed me, her former daughter-in-law, to bring cash to bail her out. With that, I turned around and asked the people in the crowd, "Would you want such an elder? How about you? Would you take her?" The people caught under my gaze all shook their heads and hastily stepped back. Having such a mother-in-law, she must have committed murder and arson in her past life. Even if this were my own mother, I couldn't stand it. Let alone a mother-in-law. With a mother like this, it's no surprise the son cheated. If you keep spouting nonsense, I'll sue you for defamation. Who among you has seen my son cheat? Who has seen it? Ren Choping suddenly sprang up from Erica's arms, showing no trace of her previous frail appearance. She glared at me with wide, furious eyes and said through gritted teeth, "Olivia, let me tell you, the divorce isn't finalized yet. Your money is still marital property. And Weisha should give half to my son. You have no evidence that my son cheated. None." Ren Choping's words had me doubled over with laughter. I glanced at my wristwatch, then turned to exchange a meaningful look with the security guard at the door. "Ren Choping, after beating around the bush for so long, you finally revealed your true purpose today. Your son wants Weisha, giving him such a huge sum. Aren't you afraid it'll crush your precious boy? Fine. You say I have no proof of your son's infidelity. Don't worry, the evidence is coming right up." No sooner had these words been spoken than distant shouts of argument could be heard approaching from outside the main gate. As everyone turned to look, Lin Shanshan came running in, teetering on her sky-high heels. I turned my head to look at Eric's face, which was as complex as a palette. "Eric, you heartless man, I couldn't reach you since yesterday, and sure enough, you came here to find your ex-wife." Before anyone could clearly see who had arrived, Lin Shanshan had already thrown herself into Erica's arms, pushing Ren Choping aside. "Shanshan, what are you doing here?" Eric quickly pushed her away, flustered as he glanced around at the onlookers. "How can I not come? My uncle just got fired from Weisha, and now you're dumping me, aren't you? Don't forget, it's because of me that you even got into Weisha." Lin Shanshan's long nails nearly poked into Eric's nose, her tone dripping with the bitterness of a scorned woman. "Is she Eric's mistress?" Someone in the crowd had just spoken when Lin Shanshan glared fiercely in their direction. "Who's the mistress? He and I are true love, you don't understand, so don't spout nonsense, right?" "Right, that's exactly what all mistresses say. I heard the aunt she mentioned is actually Mr. Chen's mistress." "Ah. No wonder Chen Wenshuan's face was all scratched up by his wife yesterday. This aunt and niece pair are really something, both following the same path." The murmurs in the crowd grew louder, and Lin Shanshan stomped her feet in frustration. She turned her head and spotted me watching the scene, then swayed her hips as she walked up to me. "Olivia, let me tell you, don't think just because you've become the young lady of Weixing now, you can take Eric back from me. Stop dreaming. Eric loves me. The first time he saw me, he said it was love at first sight. No matter what you..." "Stop it, Shanshan. Just stop talking." Eric gritted his teeth, striding over to cover Lin Shanshan's mouth with his hand. "Why won't you let her speak?" I laughed, looking at his face flushed with shame and anger. "Let everyone hear your love story, Olivia." I stared at his gnashing teeth and furious expression. smiling faintly. "Mrs. here." Before I could even finish smiling, someone came up behind me and pulled me aside. I looked up amidst the gasps of the onlookers. "Uncle," I said. "Edwards, it's Edwards." "Ah, Edwards is so handsome, still this dashing at his age." Edward Singji glanced down at Ren Choping, who was still sitting on the ground crying and making a scene, furrowing his brows slightly. "Security, it's working hours now. Remove all unrelated personnel." As soon as the words were spoken, 4 burly security guards immediately swarmed in and dragged Ren Choping out of the Weisheng building by force. I leaned against the wall of the executive elevator, humming a tune. My uncle glanced at me sideways. "That happy, huh?" I tilted my chin up and replied, "Of course. Didn't you enjoy watching the show from upstairs too? When are you planning to take back that apartment?" "Probably in the next couple of days. Can't be bothered to wait any longer." I flipped through the documents sent by the legal department and motioned for Qin Chuan, who was standing in front of the desk, to come over. "Little Edwards." Qin Chuan adjusted his glasses with a serious expression and stepped forward. "Which company did my uncle previously hire bodyguards from?" Qin Chuan took out his phone from his pocket, flipped through it, and replied, "I can help you get in touch if you need." "Great. Give me 10, no, 20. The next day, I knocked on Eric's door with these 20 bodyguards. "Olivia, you still dare to come? This is my home. Why wouldn't I dare?" I scoffed. "Pack up and throw out everything in this house except the furniture and appliances." The 20 people behind me rushed into the house in unison, causing Eric at the doorway to lose his balance and sit down on the spot. "What are you doing, all of you?" He scrambled to his feet in a fluster, watching as the room was instantly turned upside down. Ren Choping, hearing the commotion, rushed out from her room. "Is this hard to understand?" I picked up an apple from the table, examined it for a moment, then took a bite. "I'm here to take back my house." Upon hearing this, Ren Choping immediately sat on the ground and began throwing a tantrum. "You're trespassing on private property, which is illegal." "This is my son's house," I sighed, put down the half-eaten apple in my hand, and waved at the person who had been standing behind me all along. "Attorney Ren, please explain it to him." "Hello, Mr. Eric, I am Ren Chosha, the legal representative of Weisha Group. This document folder contains copies of all the procedures and tax payment receipts from the housing transfer at that time. To reduce the tax amount, you chose the property transfer procedure through a sale, according to Article 15 of the Interim Regulations on Real Estate Registration. Young Master Edwards has the right to revoke the transfer. Therefore, the property has now been reverted to young Master Edwards. If you do not vacate the premises voluntarily, we will have no choice but to apply for a court order to enforce your eviction." Eric's face turned pale as he listened. He snatched the document folder and tore it open. "There are also copies of the IOUs for the gambling debts I helped your mother repay over the years. The total amount is listed on the back. If you have any objections, you can calculate it yourself." I stood up and slowly walked over to Eric, looking down at him as he slumped in his chair. A wave of satisfaction surged within me. "I don't care. I don't understand what you're saying. I'm sitting right here today. Let's see who dares to touch me." Seeing that crying and making a scene was useless, Ren Choping grabbed a chair and plopped herself down at the doorway, blocking the bodyguard's path. Watching her cross her legs with that fearless, defiant attitude, a sudden surge of malice rose within me. "Auntie, do you know what has brought Weisha to where it is today?" I casually pulled up a chair and sat down across from her. Ren Choping lifted her eyelids to glance at me, her gaze shifty and evasive. "It's all about ruthlessness, about never giving the enemy a chance to threaten you on the battlefield." With that, I waved a hand behind me, and 2 burly men stepped forward. Effortlessly, they lifted her, chair and all, and began moving toward the window. Instantly, Ren Choping's piercing scream echoed through the entire building. Eric dropped what he was holding and stumbled forward. "Olivia, what the hell are you trying to do?" "What am I doing?" I said it the moment I walked in. "I'm here to take back my house. Since you're unwilling to return it, we'll have to resort to special measures. It's only the 3rd floor. You won't die." As I spoke, I leaned my head closer to Ren Choping's face, flashing a bright smile. "Auntie, I assure you, the worst that could happen is breaking both legs. Your son is so filial. He'll definitely take good care of you." With that, I raised my hand slightly, and the two bodyguards made as if to throw her over. "Olivia, Olivia, we'll move right now." Eric thudded to his knees at my feet, grabbing hold of my pant leg. Ren Choping had already toppled to the floor along with her chair. Too terrified to even breathe, I lifted my foot, kicked away Eric's hand, and crouched down. "After all we've been through as husband and wife, I appreciate your honesty. And I thank you both for this lesson." "Eric, my grandfather once said we weren't suited for each other, but I didn't believe him. I insisted on plucking this melon to taste it, TCH, and it really is quite bitter." With that, I stood up, glanced around the wrecked room, turned, and walked out. "Don't forget you owe me money. You have 1 month. After that, we'll see each other in court." Ren Choping looked at her son lying on the ground, utterly devastated, as if his spirit had left him. "Son, we can't give up this house. Where will we live without it? Go beg her again. Go plead with Olivia. She used to listen to you so much. She might still." Eric was prostrate on the ground, clutching his head, listening to Ren Choping's incessant murmuring in his ear. "Mom, stop it. If it weren't for you always looking down on Olivia and constantly pushing me to find someone with better conditions, would we be in this mess today?" "Well, I didn't know her backer was Wei Xing," Ren Choping stammered, too frightened by her son's expression to say more. "Do you think I want to return this house? What choice do we have? Let them throw you off the building. Do you expect Shanshan to serve you hand and foot like Olivia, wiping your ass and cleaning up after you? And what about all the money you owe? How am I supposed to pay it back?" Eric thought about those piles of IOUs and felt another wave of headache coming on. Back at the company, I took the elevator straight up to the 49th floor. "Little Edwards," Qin Chuan nodded to me from a distance. I smiled faintly and pushed open the office door. "Back." Uncle glanced up at me from his computer. "Yeah." I tossed my bag onto the table and slumped lazily into the couch. "How did things go?" Uncle took off his glasses and set them aside, then picked up his coffee and came over to sit down. "Didn't Lawyer Ren already tell you everything? Why are you still asking me?" I accepted the tea brought in by Qin Chuan and took a sip. "Don't you think I went too far today?" I was somewhat surprised that my usually reserved and low-key uncle didn't question my actions today. "As long as you're happy." As he spoke, he set down the cup in his hand and suddenly turned to look at me with a serious expression. "Olivia, welcome home." I froze for a moment, then burst into laughter. "Yes, I'm back, Weisha. Thank you for watching today's story. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below, so feel free to share your opinions. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more great stories. We'll see you in the next video.